I now have the honor of introducing Norene Starr, a woman who needs no introduction, but will get one anyway. And Norene is super important to this project. She is a creator of this project. When Norene joined this project, we were at a crossroads of which directions to go, and Norene said, how about we do it like this? And we said, how about we do it like that, right? So our goal is to amplify Native voices and share Native histories. So again, I'm not going to let you continue to hear my voice. I'm going to get you to Norene. But she is a project creator. She's also a proud veteran. She is also a sponsor and advocate for Native inmates, as we're talking about Native incarceration. She works hard to bring ceremonies and culture into the prisons and advocates for inmates. She's also the executive director of special projects and resources and coordinator for the governor of the Cheyenne and Arapaho. So she is special to so many of us, all of us here. And I'm really glad to have her here today to tell her story. By way of introduction to her story, and this section is called Perspectives on Healing, which is a very powerful story. She just asked me to say a few words. Those of you who were here yesterday saw the wonderful video that Cheyenne and Arapaho Productions put together of our event from last year. And there was a segment in there where I was talking about epigenetics. So she just asked me to give you a really brief introduction to that to help provide some context for her story. So epigenetics is, again, this is a Western perspective, Western ways of knowing epistemology. So this is a thing that many cultures have known for a long time, but science has just recently come around to knowing in its own way. And that is looking at heritable changes in gene function. So genes, you inherit one from your mother, one from your father, and we all know the DNA blueprint. Epigenetics is a new field of study that looks at how there are changes to gene expression that don't impact the physical underlying DNA. So that physical blueprint is not altered, but through chemical processes, things can be added to, histones can be added to the DNA that impact, and essentially it's like it tells a gene whether or not to express itself. And these can be very deleterious for humans, right? So the problem is that this is not something that just impacts an individual. If they experience trauma or environmental stress, it can be passed on and inherited for generations. So for example, studies have shown that something like starvation has impacts for at least 3 generations. So an understanding, and things like sudden drastic change in environment due to colonial processes have dramatic impacts for generations. So understanding that and the role that it plays in health disparities and variable attempts at reaching a state of well-being is really important, I think. So I will give you that, and then I'm going to turn this over to Norene to tell her very powerful story.
Text, Norene Starr, Executive Director of Special Projects and Resources, Cheyenne and Arapaho Tribes of Oklahoma, Governor's Office. Norene steps up to the podium.
Good afternoon. My name is Norene Starr, and I am from I'm Cheyenne. I'm from the Cheyenne Arapaho Tribes of Oklahoma. We started this project. I came here years ago with my grandchildren. Abby was with me one of the times that I came, and then her mother was yet to be born the very first time that I came here. This is a generational thing. Everything is relative. We're all relative. Everything here that is happening is relative. We're relatives to each other. You are my relations, every one of you. We are relative. Just like this little princess was talking about, and I loved her reword, that concept. That's amazing. And for us to go ahead and journey through this Hivamits this year these sacred steps that we're doing down here and leaving our footprints here is so immensely appreciated by me. This is personal for me, too. I am the direct descendant of Heap of Birds. He was my grandmother's grandfather. I am the direct descendant of Big Moccasin. He was my grandfather's grandfather.
A projector shows photos of Chief Heap of Birds and Red Paint Woman.
Red Paint Woman. That is the mother of who Abby is named after. Abby's in Cheyenne name, her name is Matsahe. So that's Red Paint Woman's daughter. And Heap of Bird's daughter. There is so many, my grandmother, if you can see over there, that was my grandmother, Helen Heap of Birds. And then, of course, I have brothers and siblings. When I started my life, I guess it was not very positive. I have recently found out, and just recently, that I am the biological daughter of a rape.
The slide lists Norene's ancestors: Black Wolf, Helen, Blue Wing, and Morgan Starr.
I did not know this, but it was, family. And it took a while for me to figure it out. I didn't understand why my mother hated me. So this is some of the intergenerational trauma. My hero was 4 years old. I was 2. And I had a younger sibling, and he was 7 months. Our biological mother had left us in an apartment for 3 days. The little 4-year-old somehow got the 7-month-old down the stairs, the one flight of stairs in the back, and then somehow he talked me into going down the same stairs. I remember the rain. I remember the police officer that showed up in the alley as we was digging for food. Just little bitty things I remember. I don't remember everything, but those were kind of the beginnings of some of the intergenerational trauma that I have overcome and endured. I am a convicted felon. I have been to prison twice. Drugs. I was a methamphetamine user. I have 17 hours, 6 months, 14 days, and 2 hours and 10 minutes of sobriety. Getting clean and sober after 23 years of using meth really was the easy part. It was living that was the hard part because I didn't know how. I had no idea. And for someone like me that had no formal education, I've got no letters behind my name. All I have is the passion and compassion. That's it. That's it. That I have to do the work that I do. I love the work that I do. That's why I go back into prisons. That's why I work with inmates. That's why I work with the violent offenders. I see life in them. When I come, they are so grateful and happy, even just for those couple of hours that I get to spend with them. I bring in books, I bring in conversations, I bring in ceremonies if I can. We build sweats. I take rocks into them for their sweats, wood. Every once in a while I get to feed them. But they are so grateful. They're so humble, and they keep me humble because I remember when I was there. I remember being incarcerated. The last time I was incarcerated, I was facing 80 years. That was really scary. I had went to my PO, and she says, you got traffic tickets in Oklahoma County. I said, okay, let's go. No, I was trafficking. 4 counts. I was like, whoa.
Norene raises her eyebrows.
So I was a guest of Oklahoma Bed and Breakfast for 2 years before I finally signed for a 7-year sentence. But you know what? I'm going to tell you something. Creator put me right there in that spot, in that time, for a purpose. I didn't know the purpose then. I still don't know the purpose. I get up every single day and I ask Creator to show me what it is He wants me to do. I do what He puts in front of me. This right here was something that was laid on me a long time ago, long time ago, before drugs, before all that world, that craziness, that chaos. And I knew that when I came back and I looked at this little sheet of paper, and on the very top it had 2 sentences that said, so-and-so died here, so-and-so died here. And it had both of my ancestors' names on there, and I'm like, that's it? That's it? There's nothing else here? There's nothing to validate that they were even here except for 2 little sentences on a piece of paper? How is that? How does that happen? A whole human life, our relatives, our ancestors reduced to 2 sentences on a piece of paper.
The camera zooms away from the projector to focus on Norene.
We die twice. We die the physical, and then we die again when the last person on earth says our name. We are here to continue to say these men's names, our ancestors. We are here to continue to tell the stories. Every single one of you are so important to me. I cannot believe what has happened since this started. I cannot believe that every one of you are here, every tribe.
She gazes earnestly at the audience.
All the descendants are here. This is so amazing. And I'm so grateful. I'm so very grateful. This is a living, breathing Hivamits. This is the sacred steps that we started doing. We're back here to do this work. We're back here to remind people of who we are, where we came from, and how we got here. We have a purpose together. Each one of you fills that space that I need. And I hope I can fill the space that you need somewhere, at some point in time in your life, at any time. My phone's on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, by the way. Even the name, Castillo de San Marco, it's like they just erased that whole complete, total time. They whitewashed that particular piece of history. Just the name. And I see people going over there, and I see people going up there to visit, and they got all their kiddos, and they're all happy, and they got little families, and blah, 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 blah. And everybody's just out for a new day. These people are unaware. They're unaware that people died there, that they gave our lives, their lives, so that we could have a life today. But this is what they left us. And this is what we have to do. It's a hard work. I know the emotions that you feel. I have felt them too. I know how you're thinking. I have thought those thoughts too. I understand. And this is about an understanding that we must have together to move forward in the work that we have to do. I want to thank y'all for coming. I just want to mention that we have several other smaller projects coming off of this project, and that we will continue to go forward, and we will continue to be and heal. You know, this is part of the healing. Being here, suiting up, showing up, listening, learning from everybody that was here, learning from each other, sharing the pain.
A slide reads Missing and Murdered Indigenous People.
That's part of the healing process. That's part of it. That's the healing. And that's what we need. And that's what we need as a people, I believe. That's what I need. Last year I talked about my grandchildren, Gracie and Drake. Gracie was murdered in 2020. And Drake was murdered in 2021. Both of my grandchildren are gone.
A slide displays photos of Drake, Starr, and Grace Bluewing.
I done those things. I done those sacred steps. I done those hivaments. I done those ceremonies that I had to do to get back. I had to come back. I have other reasons and other purposes to be here on this earth and do this life. One of them sitting right back there.
Norene points across the room.
I'm here because of Abby. Today, I'm here. That's my granddaughter. She is the 7th generation of Big Moccasin and Heap of Birds. That is relative to how we pray. That is who we are as a people. So now I have to live. We have to live. We all have to live for those men that died here and those prisoners that didn't come home. My grandparents used to talk about it. They wanted to know what happened. Well, they didn't even know where Fort Marion was. They had no clue. They just knew they were in Florida somewhere.
She gazes mournfully into the audience.
We never got word. The federal government never came and told us that they were gone or deceased. So they're sitting at home and they're looking for them, for their grandfathers.
A slide contains information about missing and murdered Indigenous people and the MMIP logo, which depicts a woman's face with a red handprint on her cheek.
You know, we must continue this. We have to continue this whole thing. We have to reword. I love that. Thank you. We have to reword everything. And right now, with the healing part, I'm going to go ahead and ask a couple of these young people about their experiences here. So, Memo, can you tell me about your experience from last year and how you felt and about this year?
Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and stand up here.
Text Memo Valenzuela, Youth Ambassador, Cheyenne and Arapaho Tribes of Oklahoma.
I was asked, so I took some notes.
Memo stands behind the Flagler College podium.
Memo na ishivit. Makunako na histas sistas. Hello everyone, my name is Memo Valenzuela. I come from Oklahoma City and I am Cheyenne. Some people call me the Prince of Cheyennes, but just kidding. But yeah, so I'm here as a youth ambassador because Norene chose me, and I'm just grateful to be here and also play taps on the trumpet. I'll be doing that later today. And what I have learned a lot these past 2 years, and it's very different because the first year was different than this year, because this year I learned that it wasn't just our tribe that was there, it was also the Caddo and the Comanche and Kiowas, and as well as the Apaches as well. Yesterday I learned there was 300 incarcerated there, and I also learned throughout school. Right now I go to SIPI. They teach us more about tribal history, and we learned about the South during the colonial era and how the Spanish people took Florida and slavery was drastic here. And the first year I came, I really didn't understand that. But as I was flying on the plane here on my way, it was very different the first time. The first time I was like, oh, Miami, yachts. No. But this time going over, it was like, okay, like it really changed my perspective, because you look out and you're like, oh, wait, like slavery was here. This was a battlefield, and all this genocide happened here, and there was conquistadors, and yeah, of course you know that through like third grade history class, but being there and actually understanding it this year, it was just completely different, and it was like similar how you were saying about actually going to the fort and like seeing it, and it's like that presence there of actually understanding. It was like a big change and all that, but it also led into me learning more. I also learned more about my last name, because my last name is Valenzuela from my dad's side, because he's Mexican, but from my mom's side is where I get my Cheyenne last name from, which is white man. And I also saw there was Cheyenne here that was named white man. So I learned that I might be a descendant from there, so I'll do more looking into that after this. And about that last name, I also saw that we say Vejo, and that means white man in Cheyenne. I also learned that I'm learning new words too. Thank you, Max. I'm also still learning my language, so yes. But Vejo means white man, but it's a direct translation to spider. Vejo means spider, but the reason why we called the white man spiders is because they said that they would build fences, and it was similar to a spider's web, and they'd cage us off. And so I learned my last name could be translated to Spider-Man instead of white man. So yes, this was also cool.
Memo laughs and grins.
But yeah. But this is a lot of random facts that I learned throughout these 2 years, but all this ties into what we do from here on out. Like, I'm glad that Norene has started this project, and it's led to a lot more. And this is, who would have imagined this would have happened 100 years ago? And looking at this now and seeing all this is showing me, okay, it's really good this is happening now. We've come a long way. And how can we move forward with this? I see there's a lot of more projects going on, the missing, murdered indigenous people, and I also see us taking action through the NCAI. And it's not just about learning how to move forward from here. It's also about learning to move forward even when we have obstacles in our way, such as the tribal car tags. Like, who would have thought that would have been a problem? We've been driving for years now, but I guess now. Speaking of which, does anyone know why, specifically and legally, why that's a problem all of a sudden? Money? I see. Yes, so the state has to earn its money. Yeah, it's just interesting how now it's a problem, and if they got to tax us, I guess you got to tax every other tag from another state, but that makes no sense. So, but yes, throughout these next few years, I'm gonna keep on being the prince. I'll keep learning, and yeah, yeah. But we'll see, and I'm glad to be here. Thank you for having me, and I'll keep learning. Thank you.
Thank you, Marion.
Norene embraces Memo.
I do appreciate this young man. He made me a promise. So someday, somebody needs to hold him to that promise, Abby. Even he knows what the promise is. You don't. But he knows what the promise is. Okay, is there anyone else here who would like to speak that has something to say? Just tell us your feelings.
Text Martina Mintorn, Historic Preservation Officer, Comanche Nation.
Just about your experience of being here and what you've experienced.
Yeah.
Manaweka, Nananiatsa, Pitiostamai. Hello, everyone. My name is Martina Minthorn. I am Comanche. I'm the Historic Preservation Officer. Thank you, Norene, for putting this together and your efforts. My experience actually visiting the fort yesterday was just very overwhelming. Just like she said, just the sense of feeling and to know the people that were brought here and their story just to get here and not knowing if they were going to be returning back home and just the conditions of being there and the confinement of the walls there was just felt really heavy on us and everything, and all of us felt that experience, but just the sadness, but also the prayers that were said for praying for the loved ones back home and everything, and those prayers that were sent for them back here. And so I'm just glad to be able to be with some of the descendants that, you know, had those family members home, but being able to tell their story and get the story to be known to the local people, but our relatives back home too, just so that their story's told. And so we come from Fort Sill. We live and drive through Fort Sill every day. And so just in knowing when we left at 3 o'clock in the morning, and whenever our prisoners, they loaded up at midnight. And so here we are driving, you know, they're coming by wagon, we come by plane, but just to be able to know, you know, the hurt and the sorrow, and just knowing that their life was going to change dramatically. And so coming to the ocean, you know, that was a big change. So we come from the plains, and so definitely it's a good experience, but definitely want to be able to get their story told back home. And so I'm just thankful for the opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate your words. Anybody else like to speak? Would you like to say a few words?
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Kelly Factor, and I'm the Vice Chairman of the Caddo Nation. And I just wanted to thank you for all the work that you've done, and I'm just really proud to be a part of it. Me and the Caddo delegation came in a couple days ago straight from New Orleans from the National Congress of the American Indian. And like the young man was saying, it's a lot of hot topics going on right now in Indian country, but we felt like this was very important enough for us to be here because the history is what we have. We have to hang on to our history. We need to, it's our responsibility to know. It's our responsibility to continue our efforts in finding out, you know, the atrocities that's happened and to make it known. And something that came up yesterday or this morning was like the history. We weren't taught a lot of this history, what happened to our peoples. And it's just important that we all know and that we get into the schools that we need to know what happened. This is part of the U.S. history that seems to always be left out. So basically, I just wanted to let everybody know that on behalf of the Caddo Nation that we're very proud to be here. And it's our responsibility to know and understand, and we stand with everyone here that we want to continue our efforts to help in whatever way we can moving forward.
Kelly hands Norene the microphone.
Thank you so much. So let's reword everything. Let's reword everything here. Let's tell everybody the real history. Let's tell our family, our descendants, our family members. Let's tell them the you know, our truths. The best way to tell our truth is how we've always done it, orally. That's how we do it. I mean, we didn't have a way of writing stuff down. We've done everything orally. So now it's time for us to pick up and be responsible and tell those stories and continue. So I want to thank everybody that's here. I want to thank you so very much for coming. And I'm going to go ahead and close this piece out. If y'all have any questions, you're more than welcome to ask me afterwards.
Norene steps aside.
Nesh.
Thank you, Norene, and thanks everyone who spoke.